Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 59 of the Deep Fried Neurons podcast. Today's podcast is by request, and given how much I've teased this episode and promised this episode for so long, I'm finally gonna drop it, and I'm just gonna cue the fucking. Hello, fellow kids. I'm Steve Buscemi now. I'm old. I'm a zoomer now. It's been a decade since I've been on the internet, and I feel old as fuck. These kids are so young, and youth is so precious. I'm just realizing. Anyway, I know this is not exactly my niche, but I promised a very good friend and an avid listener of the podcast, Paras, if you're listening, this one's specially for you. I was not going to make this episode otherwise. I'm not even kidding. But at the same time, I wanted to do it right. That's why it took so long, and I'm sorry that it's coming out like about 20 days after the internet is optimized for this episode to drop. But one, promise is a promise. Two, we have the advantage of having Grande's Meme Awards results and seeing everybody's content before we talk about this. Now, I watched a lot of videos about like which memes of 2019 were the best, which memes of the decade were best. And I more or less agree with most of them as to why they would put that into that list. And one thing that's missing from my 2010s meme review is, of course, the entire honorable mentions thing. I have not honorably mentioned anything. If you like a meme, that's great. These are just memes that stand out to me, and I think they should be mentioned as identity of the 2010s or people who grew up in the 2010s. Doesn't necessarily mean that the others aren't important or should be forgotten. It just these will go as a memory from me, as in a time capsule. And if you can't tell, I'm sick as fuck. Like my cold has gotten worse somehow, and my voice has gone to shit. Throwback to episode 4 if you guys remember how sick I was during that. So for episode 59, here we go. At the top 10, like the 10th place that I could think of, I put deep fried memes in. Mostly because like the entire anti-art perspective of it, like look at how funny this is. The entire joke has become the joke, and I kind of found that very interesting. I did not expect memes to go in that direction so soon, and not in the way they went at all, which is why I put deep fried memes as the top 10. Of course, they came up only halfway through the decade, which is 2015, and I'm so glad they didn't die out. Like, they have their own niche now, and they had their own contribution to like meme culture. They bleed into the other memes slowly but surely, and I think it's worth mentioning because they went mainstream in 2015 and 2016. Then there's everything SpongeBob. Now, remember that I understand why people have problems with like appropriation of meme culture that sort of leads to meme deaths. Actually, in the cycle of a meme's life, one of the biggest parts of its beginning of its death is popularization of the meme. The more popular it is, the worse it gets. And SpongeBob memes sort of are the most accessible ones. Like tier 3 SpongeBob memes is the basis at which Twitter mostly operates. And to be honest, I fuck with them only because everybody gets them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not exactly the worst thing in the world that your meme will be accessible or easily replicable. But the truth remains, the one thing that's unique about the SpongeBob memes is that they keep coming. Like, there is a new SpongeBob um, meme format every 2 to 3 months. Of course, it wasn't as frequent before. Now it's gotten way more frequent than before. Uh, like maybe one SpongeBob meme a year, but like by now it's every month. Like there is no way I come across. I go through my timeline and I don't see a meme, or like I go through my front page and I see zero SpongeBob memes. And I think that's great. I think survivability of the SpongeBob memes is brilliant, and I think that we should give it recognition. That's why they're at number 9 for me. The third one could be controversial because this meme died soon, and it only appeals to a very niche audience. but it has a an element of a throwback that I sort of enjoy. It's the to be continued meme. Uh, it was very big back when iDubbbz was visiting VidCon in, I think, 2014 or 2015, something like that. Maybe earlier than that. This is because the kids were obsessed with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and everything, something almost went wrong. The end credit scene for JoJo to be continued showed up, and that was sort of it. And that throws me back to a decade before that meme showed up, when the internet was just born. And one of the first things that we used to do on the internet back in the day, I mean, my brother used to do it, I used to sit by him, is look at funny videos. Like, for example, the German man who flexes and then lands on thick ice that he was supposed to enter. Those are the kind of videos that it went for. But this is an evolution of that, of viral all in AFV type of videos, because it adds the to be continued text to it. And I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was the right kind of passing on the torch of a meme, which is why I put it at number 8. Now, the next one is a little difficult to explain for everybody to get, but I think you guys will can keep up. Like, you're pretty cultured individuals. Is the Chad meme? I don't know if you guys know, but a very attractive, conventionally attractive male with symmetrical features and everything is called a Chad. And the more Chad-esque you get, you raise in Chad. Like Chad, there's a Chad, there's a Kilo Chad, then there's a Mega Chad, then there's a Giga Chad, and then there's the Terra Chad. Um, of course, the origin of this meme is a little controversial. It comes from the incel culture, some of which is ironic, some of which is unironic, and these people need serious help. I'm not kidding. But the meme is brilliant. Like, the not so smart, successful with women Chad has been depicted, and he's been used in various scenarios as a muse for undeserved attention. Well, I mean, that's just one example, but the meme format sort of has a wider scope to it. You could summarize any stereotype with this. I don't know how much you guys know about the Virgin Walk meme. Ninja was spotted doing the Virgin Walk somewhere, if I'm not wrong. There's multiple stereotypes that are done, like the generational memes of Doomer, Bloomer, Boomer, Zoomer are also done in the same format and the same place. Now, of course, B came up with this meme, or so I've been told. But so far, I think the entire MS Paint aesthetic, along with explaining stereotypes in in minute detail, plus the social standing of the same, sort of makes this meme one to be mentioned. Now, just because Chad is the name I took doesn't mean Chad is the only meme that I select from this. I'm selecting everything that is in the same format. Then that's number 7, I'm guessing. No, that's number 6. No, that's number 7. My bad. So number 7 is Chad. Number 6, on the other hand, is Umesh. I don't know if you guys know this, and this is something that made my day the first time I saw it. There was some serious discourse going on, and there was this dude whose name is Umesh, who just commented Umesh in the entire replied thread, and I thought that was hilarious. And of course, this is from like a wider family of memes, where a culture that is just introduced to the internet, sort of with the bloopers of being on the internet being framed. Uh, Not just that, but weird intentions and random cultural barriers that translate in just creepiness sometimes. All of them together came to form a family of memes. I think r/Indian people Facebook is what I'm going for. I think that's the meme that I want to mention here. I know people think that PewDiePie made it happen, but PewDiePie is just the entropy of memes. Like, he started the decay of the meme to the big stage. But when it comes to Indian people Facebook. It's a meme that's been in growth since the beginning. I mean, I live in India. I'm aware how like what Facebook used to be in 2011. It was cringier than it is now, and the levels of self-awareness were very, very, very poor. To be honest, the Umesh meme is actually should be more aptly named the Meena Boy meme. I don't know if everybody knows that. Like, if you're not in India, uh, for the poorly photoshopped, extremely self-serious, extremely self-gratifying posts on Facebook, we had this meta meme in India called Meena Boy, where poorly written English along with poorly photoshopped photos of this one dude with different celebrities surfing or going to space was a thing that we used to share. I think it peaked in 2017, maybe 18. It was one of my favorite memes at the time. But the Meena Boy has been in production for a very long time. It comes from a level of self seriousness that we did not expect the internet would reach. And the surprise and the informational barrier sort of comes to meet in this beautiful concoction of a meme that I think is brilliant, which is why I put it at number six. Um, then there's the misheard memes. The misheard memes are actually much older than we know. Like, misheard memes were one of the first things that ever popped up on YouTube. I don't know how many of you are very old. I mean, definitely people much older than me would remember Benny Lava. It's just a Prabhu Deva song which has been misheard in English, even though it's in some other language. And the chorus goes, "Have you been high today? I see the nuns are gay." And that was the source of the humor. But the misheard meme sort of continued into a big spiral where you have USSR national anthem to be misheard, which is one of my favorite videos on the internet, by the way. Like, every time I get a chance, I listen to that and watch the misheard version of it in English. It sort of again is this translation error that gets made fun of, and I think just how evergreen it is and its survivability and its innovation in a way, and the number of times it can be redone and still be funny makes it for me. So yeah, that's number 5. Now for number 4, this is probably the most controversial one so far, and to have it so far up in my list is something people might not agree with. Is imagine something something. This post was made by something gang. Most people don't find the potential in this meme very appealing, but it sort of came to parody the gamer culture thing. I think the meme blew up because I think COD or PUBG, there was a debate about which gun is better, and then there were gangs formed ironically, and then unironically fights would break out. So ironically fights broke out about everything. Uh, and then it came to be just a form of commentary. Like, it's a joke that I make all the time with my friends. It's annoying as fuck to them, but to be honest, it's using this dead meme, beating his dead body to like get pity laughs. My life is sad. Never mind. Let's not get into the sad shit. But this is here because it sort of parallels with this us versus them dynamic. Like, I don't know if you guys heard the entire conflict podcast that I put up. I think somewhere in the episodes of 40s, conflict and how life will get stranger with time is the title of the thing. One of the conflicts we talk about is a societal conflict, the outside threat. How you and like your neighbor will unite against somebody from the outside. It's us versus them that we talk about, and that's how wars happen. And that sort of tribalism still reflects in this meme, and I thought that's important to us, and I should mention that, and that's why it's at number 4. The number 3 is somehow Grande's winner, and I understand why it makes the list. To be honest, because how wholesome it is and how the entire internet community rallied together to pay respects to this man and be involved with him, especially the people who were there when the first We Are Number One thing happened. We Are Number One happened around 2014, I think, at beginning or end, something like that. And Stefan Carl Stevenson, an Icelandish gentleman who was the subject of this meme, sort of played into the joke on Reddit. And after that, he died of cancer, very sadly, in 2018. Let's be fair, the kind of involvement we got from him, and the way he took in stride sort of just built this bridge between him and all of the community, which is why Stefan is such an important thing to happen in 2010s. And his mention here is solely to make sure that our history always reflects that. And then we go to the next one, which I don't know, PewDiePie hated for some reason. It's Doge. And the reason I put Doge here is because when Doge came out, it turned out to be the most overdone meme at the time, and it was shit from what I understand. But around 2017, Doge starts making a comeback. The naive Doge in historical events shows up. He becomes Oppenheimer. He becomes Indira Gandhi right before her death. He becomes the French monarchy right before they're toppled. Until 2020, it grows into this muse of a face that sort of represents every person on the internet. And that's why Doge became such a favorite for me, because it went through the hardest metamorphosis across the decade. It came up in the beginning, it died in the middle, and then it made a comeback. And its comeback was strong and it was fast. And I think that matters, is why it's number two. And number one, completely unsurprisingly for everybody, would be Pepe. And the reason Pepe is number one is because, well, feels good, man. Pepe is number one because no frog in the history of human culture has been this controversial or this discussed on such a huge fucking such a huge fucking level. Like, ever since 2015, I have seen video essays on video essays on video essays about Pepe. Pepe is so big that PewDiePie was compelled to make an entire video essay about him. And pretty good video as well, by the way. It talks about how Pepe's treatment from uh, the stoner frog who takes his pants all the way down because it feels good, man, went from one of the biggest obsessions of 4chan and Tumblr and Reddit at the same time, to being appropriated by Nazis as their symbol, to forming Kekistan, which is the biggest anti-politically correct group on the internet, from what I understand. Now, I mean, not that it matters, to be reappropriated as the face of rebellion against oppression, the Hong Kong protests. I think Pepe's had one hell of a journey, and the 2010s, without a doubt, belong to him. And that's it. That's my list for 20, 2010s memes. I hope you enjoyed that. I have been talking for 20 minutes straight. Okay, I'll see you, I guess. Okay, that's all I have for you this week. I know this episode is coming out on Tuesday because I'm recording it on Tuesday. It's mostly because I've been sick and busy and sick and busy. So, yeah. Also, oh, sorry about the noise in the background. The noise in the next episode is gonna be worse though, somehow. But that's a good episode. I'm very proud that I secured that episode. I'll see you on Sunday for sure. And I hope you liked listening about memes from me. Bye. Oh, like, share, subscribe. Support me on Patreon if you really like the content. Check out the video essay that I have dropped. I'm very proud of that series. And